want to look at something. So come on over here. Okay, right now, you two in particular are getting a little more dynamic understanding of where the center is, how to ground vector, and how to project, okay? It's a step. You have to get there. Now we want to understand consciously what I had you just zeroing in on feeling, okay? You want definitely a kinesthetic sense of what you're doing. That has to be there. That's why we prioritized it. But you also consciously want to understand what you're doing, why is it working, etc. Because in tactical situations, that might become necessary, okay? So we're going to do the following discovery learning, okay? We have our cross. And what you'll notice is at the 180, energy that's coming in from uke, if you project it back on the 180, it's doable, and you get a kind of violent reaction when the rebounding energy overrides their yang aspect. But if you pay attention, while that exact contact moment is kind of percussive and violent, there's not much displacement factor to it. And the reason for that is because of how we're generating the rebounding energy. So the uke's yang aspect is coming into us, and for us to go back forward, it has to continually come into us. So there's a kind of energy leakage that is happening because we never go to the bracing angle where we start just shoving it all this way. As we're moving this way, there's still some of their yang aspect coming through us. Otherwise, we're not doing it, okay? And that leads to that delay. When we rotate the cross, so to speak, we are very interested in these diagonals, okay? And if we call this like the highest yang, as you start to move around, you're going to enter towards the yin phase. Okay, and this has an impact on how much displacement we get on their base when we're Kokyu projecting. Okay, what you'll notice is as you start to move this way, it becomes less violent, less percussive at the contact point. But because we're not subject to that internalization of what we're projecting, you actually get better projection out at this 45. Okay. And what we doing here when we spiral rotate, the uke is not going this way and then I hit them at that way, is that we are actually bringing the uke this way. And so we're really hitting them at the 90, even though it's a 45, okay? And that's key. And we're doing that every time because this is uke's path in Aikido, okay? However, because we're at this 45, there's still some of this pure yang coming towards us. There's still some energy going this way. And as we come around, that pure yang starts to get less and less, okay? And so when we bring uke around to this 90 degrees, and we hit at this 90 degrees, you're going to see that there's not as much displacement value as we're coming along. And then it'll get decreased as we start now projecting along or toward or with that 180-degree yang, because we don't have the oppositional energy to ground off of and to project with. So this is going to be a weaker energy line, and this will be also a weaker energy line. This will be the weakest. There'll be little projection here, okay? And then it'll start to go back towards its yang phase. And here again, at this 45, as we brought their energy around, you will repeat the cycle, okay? Again, you are actually projecting at a 90-degree angle, but they're at a 45-degree angle to that 180 line. And here is another major 90-degree projection point. And then same thing will happen. It'll get a little weaker and a little weaker. And then you're back where you have that kind of weirdness where you're both projecting what you're internalizing. Okay. And these are the key points. This is where we here in Senshin Aikido, this is all things being equal. We will either project here, right or left side, here or here, or we'll bring you past the 6 o'clock and we'll be at one of these, depending on your left or right. Okay. Careful. Never, if you're bringing it around this way, counterclockwise, careful. That's about your limit of where you can go on the 90. These are a waste of time. There's not enough internalized yang aspect that you can actually utilize, and you start to get into your momentum throws down here. Okay, so we're going to do some discovery learning so you could feel that, but you're going to consciously I want you to keep with the kinesthetic awareness of what you're doing, but I want you to consciously understand where my feet need to be in relation to their stance to capitalize upon the energy benefits of this angle. Okay, we'll work with this angle first, but we'll do all these so you'll feel the difference. Okay, and then we'll task ourselves with making their line of gravity go outside their base of support. Okay, and so again here, this one, if we look at these angles from that task, line of gravity outside the base of support, it's very easy for the uke to put their base of support back under because they just walk backwards. But when they're being brought this way, the line of gravity will fall outside the base of support more easily, and because they're moving forward, they can't really get themselves into that position. Okay, so let's look at this now. All right. So first, to demonstrate how, because of that simultaneous internalization with the projection, there's a kind of sluggishness to what's happening, because in essence, there's a kind of, not all energy is going in one direction, okay? And the oppositional force is simultaneously being internalized as it is being outvalued, and it leads to some weirdness. Then you also will see that all he has to do is walk backwards, and his base of support is there. So we'll work on that 180. He's just going to come in, and we'll just do shoo. And you could see like there's a kind of and then the percussion happens. Do you see? And then all he's doing is walking back out. He'll have his balance. It's not that difficult to do. Okay, and we'll have Virginia feel what I'm talking about. Right here. Okay, I'll have you guys try. Okay, with the line of gravity aspect of it. If you pay to yes, she is preoccupied with the rebounding force, but and we do that a lot, but it's not a combination of preoccupation with the rebounding energy plus the kazushi. Okay, those aren't the same thing. And so you'll see that, yes, she's preoccupied, but her line of gravity is constantly inside her base of support, okay? And so the more athletic people, they can recover from that preoccupation with the rebounding energy quite quickly, okay? Like I know Ronan is basically, you get one step and half a step and he's back in the game, okay? Someone super athletic and coordinated is going to be able to do that. All right, so now we'll go to the 90. And so that means I have to bring her into the curve, okay? And when I bring her into the curve and I preoccupy her with her intention, like her initial assault intention, her initial 180-degree yang aspect, and I start to bring it into a turn, stay there, please. Her base is very narrow. So I only need her line of gravity to get out a tiny bit. And because she's going forward, she's not going to be able to keep her base underneath her line of gravity like when she's going backwards, okay? And you'll see that there's none of that sluggishness where she came in, it's all being internalized until it goes back out, okay? It's more immediate. And you can see she's more stumbling, etc. We're just doing small projections so you could feel that it doesn't matter which way you go. The handwork doesn't matter. Okay? So I'll have you feel that 90, that first 45-degree angle. Chris. Okay, so now, yes, the maximum yang aspect that I can internalize and rebound out is the 180. However, as I said already, you lose some of it because you're simultaneously internalizing what you're trying to outvalue. When we go to the 45-degree angle, as we bring them into the spiral, I get a lot of that oppositional energy, the yang aspect that I'm internalizing, and I don't have the problem of internalizing simultaneously what I'm trying to outvalue. Plus, I have the benefit that his base is narrow to the projection line and his line of gravity falls out easily outside that base of support. As we start going around the clock, you get less of the 180-degree yang aspect. So there's less to internalize. So then there'll be less to rebound. And that's what I want you to feel. Okay, so you're going to still have the line of gravity base of support benefit as you come around on the spiral. But your projection ability or your projection potential is lower because you're now less oppositional to the yang aspect. Is a true 180. Okay, so we're going to do the 90 and you'll feel how, oh yeah, less energy coming out. Okay, does he still lose his balance? Yes, but there's way less energy on my part. You can feel that. Okay, so I want you guys to try that now. Move around the clock and we're going this way. So as we move to 8 o'clock, we are less oppositional to the original yang aspect, so there'll be less to internalize, there'll be less to project, okay? And you'll feel, it's kind of leaking out all over the place, okay? So I'm bringing her into the spiral, and I hit this angle there, and you're going to feel like, I'm having to push more with my hands. I have to do more external stuff, as opposed to here, boom, there's less on my hands. As I start coming out here, she's going with me. Don't stop. Like, don't act for me. Okay, you have to evolve past this need to perform. Do you understand? All you have to do is grab and push. That's all you do, and you keep your grip. Don't try to predict what I'm doing. There we go. And you can see that now I'm really just accelerating her, and you'll get the benefit of the athletic people will be able to just uh, get their base back under their line of gravity. So we'll switch roles. Your knees jacked up. Okay, you're going to take me to that corner. And I don't ever really go off balance. Does that make sense? If you do this 45, you'll see the line of gravity benefit. We're here, and yes, it goes outside my base of support, okay? And so a lot of times in Aikido, we think the acceleration, because now I'm going with the 180, you see, is beneficial, but there's just no kazushi in it for anybody that's athletic or is actually fighting with you. So she's going to take me that way again, okay, to that corner. And you're off. The second you feel it, I'm off, you see. So that's where I can feel her accelerating me, and you'll see that's where people just change, release. Whereas if she goes to this way, by the time I feel it, it already got me. Okay? Make sense? Okay, try it. Right. And so not only do you lose that line of gravity benefit, like you're immediately out of it, okay? And you're moving away from the acceleration throws, you have to understand, like, why do we go to the acceleration throws? We go to the acceleration throws because we don't have the ability to internalize the yang aspect. So we get out of the way of the yang aspect, okay? Meaning, like, I could be here all the time and do that. I don't have the inability to do that. Why don't I do it is because I want these other benefits. But it doesn't mean that I'm going to go to these angles because they don't work. And I'm definitely not having to go to those angles because I can't internalize the yang aspect, okay? So the most yin angle and the most accelerating angle is you let it all go by and you go that way, okay? Again, the nage, we're doing this, and this behavior that the uke does is cultural. Like, the guy told you to hold on and you held on, okay? So you're here and you're like, but no one does that, okay? So the uke that is here feels that, and you're just here, okay? So it's a no-no, okay? And want to understand, why do we tend to do it? Why don't we want to do it, okay? Is the reason being. So I understand that you are here and then you're moving him, but that's not Kokyu projection. That's just you getting out of the way and pushing him with the inertia that was coming in. So you gotta understand what I mean when I say your projection potential goes down. It's not that he can't be made to go that way. Do you see that? Is he being made to go a certain angle through the rebounding energy or not? Okay, and when we take him here, there's no rebounding energy. There's just a new energy that's happening. Okay, try it. So to make this point, if I'm here, boom, my arms don't move. If I do the other one, my arms don't move. He doesn't go anywhere. There's no rebounding energy in that, okay? And now we'll come back up. So when you bring them around this way, you can see that you're starting the new 180. It's just like she came in from this angle, okay? So when you're bringing her around this way, the energy that's coming back now can be grounded and projected again. Do you guys see that? So here's the max, but it has that weirdness that you're simultaneously internalizing as you're trying to outvalue. Here, I am just simply internalizing, and it doesn't have that simultaneity, so you'll get the projection plus the benefit of her narrow base. And here, you're absorbing less yang aspect because you're now 90 degrees to its original intention, right? And as we come back to these angles, there's none, okay? It's off and because you're going with it. And then this would be the worst one. But as you bring her back around, then she's coming back forward, do you see? And that now is what you can project again. And that's why we use that angle, and we're just constantly working those diagonals as we go around. Okay, so try this one. All right, I don't have the mic on. We got to make this detail. We're running out of time. Okay, to get someone around 6 o'clock and to be going that way, this is where I want to go with this eventually. The Aikido hand now becomes relevant. When you're on the positive side of the circle, they can both be projection hands, which is where you guys are at. But you need to get the adhesion part, okay? So as he's coming in, this hand has to start adhering and be able to bring him around the horn, so to speak, okay? And it's that energy that now gives the projection energy, okay? So you can't go here and do two projection energies because that's going to be still yin. It's going to be an extension of those problem angles, okay? So this hand has to go this way, and then that hand can go that way. So you have to have the Aikido adhesion plus the Kokyu projection, okay? So let's try it again.